Okay, people, welcome. Thank you so much. I want to start by just taking 1 minute to acknowledge that this meetup is taking place on occupied sovereign Arapaho, Ute, Sioux, and Cheyenne land. Indigenous people have been stewards of this land for thousands of years, still are and will be for many years. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge that and yeah, move on. Thanks. Cool. So thanks, Nick. I'm now going to talk about myself a little bit more. Like Nick said, my name is Amy. I would probably primarily call myself a curriculum writer. I like to play with code for fun. I currently teach at Turing here in Denver on our front-end team. And if you know a lot about Turing, you know we don't have anything to do with Swift. So why is this lady talking about it? It's really a long story. Give you the 30-second version. 2 years ago, right when I started at Turing, they said, hey, this organization called Code with Classy, we teach a bunch of summer camps for girls who want to learn how to code. I had taught before. It's like, this is great. Like, sign me up. What can I do? And then the next day, they told me that I had, I don't know, like 6 weeks to learn Swift and write a full curriculum and then teach a bunch of people who knew nothing about anything technical to get them to teach the kids. And so it was quite scary and ended up being like the best thing ever. So Swift is not my main domain. Maybe a couple months a year, I maintain and update that curriculum. So it's like, this is my funsy place. Just letting you know now. My last little side project, a woman named Eva Pensemug, who is a designer and researcher in the tech space. She's been writing and doing a lot of research around tech-facilitated domestic violence, and she's asked me to write a series of curriculum for her based on her talks and her research, and so we're currently working on that in the next month or so. Hope to distribute it to a bunch of like boot camps and schools. So that's my other fun. This is also where usually people talk about how they love to ski and hike, and I just love to be indoors with my dogs. So you now know me. That's all we got. Okay, so we're going to start talking about static site generators before we get into publish, because that's what it is. If you know anything about these, you may kind of think like, oh, that's to make like a little blog site. Yes, it can do that. It could do a lot of other really cool things. For one example, Turing's curriculum, static site generator, Jekyll, best friend. A lot of us call ourselves senior Markdown developers. Other fun nerd facts are Obama's 2012 presidential campaign site generated $250 million, Jekyll. Okay, this one's good. Healthcare.gov in 2013 moved from CMS free. They went to Jekyll. I don't know if it was a good choice. I don't know. I'm just saying. You can build actually cool things with this. Okay. A great benefit to this is you can start something up really quickly. Okay. Literally everyone I've used Gatsby, Jekyll, now Publish. Like within 5 minutes, you can have something on the screen, which isn't true with like just typing some HTML for a few minutes, right? The next two, like this idea of maintenance and scalability. Everything's not gonna fit. If you just want a static site, sure, you could write a bunch of HTML and just kind of like progressively add stuff to it, add your little blog post, add some CSS. But the bigger that gets, the harder that's going to be to maintain, to scale. The cool thing about this too is like people who don't know any code can contribute to these projects. And so at Turing, we have a lot of staff members who are able to like update what are real websites, but they're not writing any code. They can write Markdown since they're familiar with that. So it's really like accessible, kind of going to that question, like there's a low entry point. It's friendly to so many developers because this has gotten pretty popular recently. No matter what kind of your home base is, there's something probably for you. Like there's Jekyll for our Rubyists, there's Gatsby for our React developers. There's just a ton of them out there. And so the idea is that you don't have to like learn an entire new framework, all these new environments, whatever. It's just like there's just one new set of documentation that I get to look at. Everything else is kind of the same. So that's pretty cool. That's all true. And until like 2 months ago, that wasn't true because there wasn't anything for Swift developers. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about. Publish. Publish is the static site generator for Swifties. You can also be a Taylor Swift fan. It's Swiftie. So it's built on Swift. It's built by this like really endearing genius, John Sundell. We can talk about him more. He's like just a little angel of the Swift community. He has a lot of awesome content. He also built the plot DSL and then Ink, which is like his markdown parser, and all of these things just kind of come together, and it's this little magical like happy land for people who use it. And so the interesting thing about it, and about Nick's request for me to talk about this, is the first commit on the open source repo for this was made like 5 weeks ago. And so just a big learning experience for me. Okay, which we'll talk about it. Yeah, so in a minute, we're gonna hop to doing like a little bit of a live demo, a baby live demo. But I first wanna share with you a little bit about the setup I did so that you don't have to watch me like pull down a repo. I cloned his repo down, got into it, run make. This installs all the command line tools for the package. Made me a JAMStack directory, got into it. I ran publish new. This sets up the website like in the current folder, so it just generates like the template boilerplate. Then I run publish generate, which actually builds it in my browser, builds it, and then run builds me or starts me a local server. This just in like a week ago, hot reloading. Yeah, okay. So I ran those 8 commands. I'm going. That took like 3 minutes. It was great. Very easy to find those directions in the README. The next thing really quickly I want to show you is the file structure for any one of these. So our project name is here. We have a package. The main thing we're going to start with is this main Swift file. That holds all of our configuration. And so we'll be able to play with that a little bit. And then our content will live in the content directory. Okay, and this is where we're going to get to write all that markdown that just like spits out into HTML and CSS. And then the output is what Publish's job is to do, is to take my markdown, put it into HTML, XML, CSS, RSS feeds, all these other things he made for us. So the idea is like I can just type and not worry about tags or syntax. And my hot reloading, I go back to the page, I refresh it, and it's like magically there. Okay, so sorry for the pause, but I have to. Share this with you. Okay. All right, so we have the same file structure up here, just to kind of get a lay of the land. This is our main. This is our main.swift.configuration file. The magic really happens with this final line. It says, hey, for this JAMStack website, I'd like to publish it with this theme of foundation. And that foundation is like the built-in like layout and styles that we're given with this. That's kind of what we got for now. Okay, everything's okay. And then in my content directory, just to show you the content we have right now, it's not much. I have an index that says, welcome to JAMStack. I have posts, an index, my post, and the first post with some really riveting information. This was all just boilerplate. The welcome to JAMStack I added in, okay? If I have most recently run publish run, which took like a 1.5 seconds to build. So I'm gonna hop over to my browser and pull that, oops, that's not what I wanted. Pull that up, and this is what I got, like right away, literally in 3 minutes. So nice, he made that for us. I can click some stuff around, I can click on my first post, I've got these tags I can organize myself with, browse them all, click back up here, I get to see everything. So this is like pretty magical and great that this happened so quickly. I think the goal of Publish is that it's really customizable, which maybe we're not quite there yet, we can get into. But I want to show you just adding like how we could add one other category, okay? So we have these posts. I actually want to add a events page because this is the JAMStack website. One day it'll be better than your Gatsby one. So I'm going to, inside of my content directory, make an events directory. Yep. And then inside of that, I'm going to make an index. Okay. And so that's created here. We're happy with that. I can give it a title. Okay. Creating this file structure, like this file structure, following it, very important. That alone isn't enough. I need to tell my configuration that I'm expecting another type of section. So I have to add this case for events. Super quick, I come back. Oh, maybe. Oh, gotta let it succeed. Okay, and now I have up here this little UL that was generated in the HTML. I can go back and forth between my posts and the events. Okay, and so as someone maintaining this, now I'm like, okay, I want to add an event because we're having this great meetup tonight. I'm going to create content events, maybe Feb Meetup markdown file. Okay. From here, I'm going to take this boilerplate I got for the first post. Just copy and pasting away. It's great. And I can change this description to like jamming. That's what Nick does. That's what Nick does. This is all inspired by you. I'm gonna go snag some of your content from this, just so we have something to look at. Let's give it an H1. Okay. We can clean it up later. You get the gist. Okay. So my events directory, we showed it was there because we had that index. I'm now saying I want a specific post, an item, an event, I guess. No, it's not going to build until we do this. And when I come back to events, I now have that buddy. I can click into it, get all my content. I can go back, I can change these tags. Okay. It'll take a sec. And so your basic like blog site structure, right? So we can like navigate pretty quickly. Again, like I did spend a little bit of time preparing for this, but like you could probably do this in 10 minutes. So that's super cool. The other really cool thing I want to show you really quick is we can also require metadata. So if I'm like, okay, every single event and post and whatever I have always must have a description, and I don't want to like let someone not build a description. Over here in this configuration, I can just say, hey, var description. I'm going to be expecting a string to come in for every single post, event, whatever. Everything will run the same way right now because our post and our event currently have descriptions, right? So we're good. Everyone's happy. That's not the right shortcut. If I come back, let's go to this Feb Meetup and like just delete that line. And it's just like, no, this is why I'm Swift and trying to be helpful to cover your butt. I'm missing a metadata key for the value description. Okay, I don't know if there's anything like that in the other stuff I've worked in Jekyll. It doesn't seem like it cares that much. So like this may be one advantage, and I think John Sindel, who created this, was like very into how his like type safe stuff with Swift can like be a benefit here, and I think that illustrates one of them. If I add this back, We'll be back in good shape, don't worry. Now everything's working. Okay, so that's all I had to show y'all. Oh, you can clap. Yeah. I know you have some questions. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you, Amy. I'm really proud of Amy because it was like 5 weeks ago and we were looking for lightning talkers and I was like, oh, hey, Amy, I saw this thing on Twitter. You're going to do it, right? And here she is, and that was an awesome presentation. I suppose the question I wanted to ask you is, it is something that's brand new, and dealing with Swift, there's a lot to learn there.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn about static site generators. So for someone that's new to development, I mean, what are there the resources out there that connect the concepts of static site generators to Swift and how Publish kind of incorporates those concepts? Or can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. So I would say, I love the guy, John Sundell, who made all this stuff. He makes like amazing content. I think this is so like new and in progress. He's used it extensively, like his beautiful site. We're gonna look at it. This is the teacher in me, sorry, I just have to pull stuff up. He's made this whole thing. This is like his everything. It's like the most helpful resources there is. He's used it, like obviously very customizable, very powerful. I think its current state, like there's just not a lot of documentation about it. I really tried to find something on Stack Overflow regarding this, and I cannot find one thing. And so I think there's like a very small community of people who are invested in like helping that move along, but again, like a month isn't that much time. And so I think like that setup was really easy with the docs. After that, I kind of relied on my like kind of pattern matching from using other static site generators, and like that was very helpful. And if I didn't have that, I think I would have had a lot harder time even getting here.
Well, thanks for the insight. Yeah. And I'm glad you were up for the challenge.
Anytime, Nick.
Do we have any other questions from the audience? Jonah, we just heard from you.
He's gonna grill me.
What else you got for us?
What was the absolute worst part about trying to learn this and give a presentation about it in the little bit of documentation that you have?
The worst part? There were a lot of really great parts. I think the worst part was me just questioning, like, I thought I could follow directions and I thought I could read, and I just like can't find the things. Just not being used to not having tools. Like I mainly work in JavaScript. It's everywhere, right? With this, it was just so limited. So I think that was just a new experience for me.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ben?
Anyone else? All right, let's give Amy one more round.